They called them refugees, but to the president of South Africa, they're traitors. 59 white South Africans, Afrikaners, have just fled to the United States under Donald Trump's protection, and Cyril Ramaphosa is furious. Because behind this story of refugees lies something darker, something that could ignite racial and political chaos across continents. Tonight, Border Files reveals what the mainstream media won't. Why Trump opened America's gates for a group once accused of creating apartheid, why Ramaphosa just called them cowards, and why this single migration could explode into a new international crisis, one that fuses race, power, and global propaganda. It started quietly. A group of 59 Afrikaners, white South Africans, boarded a flight from Johannesburg to Texas. They arrived in the United States on Monday. But this wasn't a regular visa or a humanitarian mission. They were granted official refugee status under a special program created by the Trump administration. According to Washington, these Afrikaners are victims targeted by racial discrimination, land seizures, and violence in South Africa. Even Trump called it a genocide. But here's the twist. No international human rights organization has confirmed that. And the South African government says it's pure fiction, a politically weaponized lie. Cyril Ramaphosa, visibly angry, didn't hold back. At an agricultural event in the Free State, he fired shots, verbal ones. "We do not run from our problems. When you run away, you are a coward," he said. "They will come back. There's no country like South Africa." But behind that public fury, something more strategic is happening. Ramaphosa is fighting not just to defend South Africa's image, he's fighting a narrative war. Because the idea that white South Africans are refugees plays directly into an old, dangerous storyline, that the post-apartheid nation has turned against its own white citizens. A narrative Trump's allies have amplified for years on Fox News, Breitbart, and far-right circles online. It's a weaponized narrative, used to justify policy, shape votes, and stir global polarization. Meanwhile, Trump's administration has taken an unprecedented step. While drastically reducing refugee admissions from war zones, Syria, Yemen, Sudan, it made an exception for this one group, the Afrikaners, a population that once enforced apartheid, now presented as its victims. Critics say it's a political performance. Human rights groups accuse Washington of rewriting history, using race to score ideological points. But Trump doubled down, claiming it's a genocide, they're being killed. No evidence, no reports from the UN, Amnesty International, or Human Rights Watch confirming systemic targeting. Yet the narrative stuck, and Ramaphosa knows how dangerous that is. Because this isn't just about a handful of South Africans. It's about how race and politics are weaponized in international relations. By framing Afrikaners as victims, Trump challenges South Africa's transformation policies and positions himself as a global defender of persecuted whites. It sends a signal across the world. If you resist liberal globalization, if you amplify racial fear, you win political power. In return, Ramaphosa is fighting a battle not only for image, but for sovereignty. He knows that once the idea spreads that his country is persecuting a race, it becomes ammunition used by investors, media networks, and foreign governments to destabilize confidence in South Africa's economy and leadership. And the stakes? Huge. South Africa's economy is already bleeding. youth unemployment above 30%, land reform still unfinished. Every new international controversy, especially one linked to race, threatens to drag the country back into old ghosts of apartheid. Sources confirm that Ramaphosa confronted Trump directly by phone. He told him flat out, "That's not true. What's being said by those opposing South Africa's transformation is false." But Trump wasn't backing down. He sees opportunity. As U.S. elections approach, this kind of controversy fuels his populist message. I protect those the global elite forgot. Even if that means protecting a community once tied to one of history's most brutal systems of racial segregation. And now, both leaders, Ramaphosa and Trump, are locked in a silent geopolitical duel. One defending the new South Africa's legitimacy, the other weaponizing its divisions for political gain. What began as a flight of 59 refugees could soon evolve into a full-blown diplomatic conflict. It's no longer just about migration, it's about who controls the world's moral narrative, who decides who is victim and who is villain, and who profits when racial fear becomes political capital. Because beneath the headlines, something else is moving. A global game of perception where truth is negotiable and power is everything. And in that game, South Africa has just become the next battlefield. If this story makes you feel that something bigger is happening, if you see that none of this is just coincidence, then you already know why Border Files exists. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and stay with us, because our next video will expose what's really behind this growing war of narratives between Trump, Africa, and the global elite.